What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into Reddit and taking a closer look at Am I Overreacting? Whether you're completely new to the topic or you've been seeing it pop up all over Reddit, this video will break everything down in a simple and easy to follow way. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's jump into Reddit. Am I overreacting? Am I overreacting for breaking up with my boyfriend because he wouldn't help with vet bills? I, 27 female, have a 12 male cat, and he was recently diagnosed with arthritis and early onset diabetes. With medication, he could go into remission for this. I have had to take him to the vet multiple times in the past 3 weeks, and my wallet is drying up. On Sunday, I wake up and my cat's front right leg is swollen and he won't walk on it or eat anything. He's extremely lethargic and I know something is wrong. The issue is I don't get paid until next week and I am completely broke. Like $0 and 0 cents broke. My boyfriend of 3 years, 34 male, currently lives at home and has virtually no bills. And the last time I needed help paying a big bill was willing to help me. My wisdom teeth removal a year ago, and I paid him back as soon as possible, 2 weeks. He's not crazy wealthy, but he is extremely good at savings, and I know he has almost $20,000 in one account alone. I was extremely emotional because a swollen leg is a huge deal for a cat, and combined with his other issues, this could be deadly. I reached out to my boyfriend and asked if he'd be able to help and I'd pay him back when I got paid. He said no. And I understand. He's under no obligation to help me at all. But the reasons he gave me for saying no were that I just needed to accept that my cat was old and I shouldn't go into debt for my cat. He didn't want me to go into debt for a cat, and it's just a sad reality for older cats. I told him that if I could get my cat's help, he wouldn't be dying. If I don't take him to the vet, he will die. He basically told me that while it's sad, it's nothing I should go into debt for. I was crushed. This, plus some other smaller issues, led me into breaking up with him. My friends think I'm overreacting and he doesn't owe me anything. And while I understand that, what I don't understand is how he can be so cold. Am I overreacting for breaking up with my boyfriend? So, I would personally say that she's not overreacting because she's genuinely asking for help for an animal that she truly loves. I mean, I don't know, but she could have had this animal from childhood. Could be her childhood cat, and she's asking for help, and he's just saying no. So I'd say she's not overreacting. Am I overreacting, or is my brother? So, my brother just had his second baby and told me he was upset because the custom-made blankets, which I have done for both my nephews, omitted their surname. He suggested that I did this because I don't have a relationship with our dad. I share the same surname as I am unmarried. And that I put my needs/wants before theirs. This is my response after removing identifying aspects. The above message was such an insulting presumption and unnecessary complaint. It really makes it clear you think I am incredibly petty or malicious. It was never brought to my attention, and honestly, if you had after the first baby, I would have done the same thing, so the blankets match when they get older. Omitting our surname was not anything related to Dad. I just thought it was placed better, and the other designs were first letter, first name, or first and middle. Whether you're upset or not is not my concern nor my problem. They are gifts for my nephews that I went to the costs and efforts to get made. And rather than be grateful and appreciative, you not only critic them, but also insinuate. I did it because of my own personal issue. I would appreciate an apology, and if you think it's not a reasonable request, then I don't know what to say. Am I being entitled? Or is he? I'd say you're not overreacting because you're genuinely making something really nice for your nephews, and you're definitely just like going out of your way to do something. Like you didn't have to make those blankets for your nephews, but you did because you're a genuinely nice person. So I'd say your brother is definitely overreacting. Am I overreacting about my fiance's mum asking me not to join their trip? My fiance and I are getting married by end of summer, and I've never met his mum before because she lives in a different country. She bought tickets to come here midsummer so we could meet, but my boyfriend ended up offering her our apartment to stay at, despite telling me she was difficult to live with, and that he himself doesn't want to. I got a bit freaked out and joked about staying elsewhere, then so they could have the apartment in that case. And to my shock and disappointment, he agreed pretty fast. This was discussed a few months ago, and he has to go back to his country last minute to fix a medical issue and do any of his missing paperwork before the marriage. We discussed me joining him for a while now for the end half of the trip, and I've been pretty excited. I told my mum about it and we started planning everything. Well, he called his mum and she wasn't happy when he told her I was coming too. She's going through menopause and she's having some other stresses in life at the moment. She wants him to spend the month with only her, and so he asked me to cancel. I have not bought the tickets yet. I feel pretty shitty now, and we got into a long discussion about it. He feels like I shouldn't be upset because his mum lives in a different country and they can't spend one-on-one time easily, even less after we're married. I don't understand why we have to cancel the entire trip plans, and I feel like I'm playing second fiddle. He says it's just this time, and that his mum wanted to come in the summer to meet me and hang out. It's just this time. He also does not have a dad, which is what he said. I, on the other hand, just sees that as when she comes here, I need to move out for the duration. He is very close with his mum. She is going through a lot of stress right now, and it's true, they haven't met in a long time. He feels like I'm not being respectful and that this isn't a fun trip. It's just him getting his ducks in order. I don't need to go. I'm just having trouble understanding since I can't manage my mother saying that. And even more, I can't imagine going along with it. So, am I overreacting? I'd say you're not overreacting. It's a bit weird how your fiancé and his mother saying that you're not allowed to go on the trip, considering you're going to be family like really soon. It's really strange. My partner acts like he doesn't notice I lost 81 pounds and counting. I'm questioning the relationship over it. Am I overreacting? When we met, I was about 215 pounds, so I was always a bit bigger. For context, I am 5 foot 3 inches, curvy. In the last couple of years, I gained weight due to pregnancy. I ended up being 260 pounds this time last year. I'm now 173 and losing. My goal is to get down to 120 or so, but the high end of healthy for my height is roughly 141. So, relatively, I don't have too far left to go not to be considered overweight. Anyway, he has never known me this small before, as, like I said, I was bigger when we met, and this is the first time he's ever seen me be under 200 pounds since we met 6 years ago. Yet he acts as if I haven't lost anything. He will make little remarks here and there, which he's toned down some after me talking to him about it, but he still acts as I haven't lost anything worth noticing. His previous comments were things like, "You're always eating," when I'm in fact am not, or "You've got to feed your face," or "You just want to sit on your fat ass." He hasn't said these since I talked to him about how upset I was over it, but it hurt that he did it at all. Before I started losing weight, he had complained I didn't look as good as I did before I had gotten pregnant, which hurt to hear, but I resolved to do something about it. Now that he isn't really making those blunt comments anymore, he's more subtle about things he says. I'll be excited about meeting a milestone, and he'll say things like, "I don't want to say anything, it'll just upset you." And this lets me know that he isn't proud of me and doesn't think I'm doing well without him saying it. Or that's how it reads to me. He also says things like, "Well, you're still really big for your height," or "You think you're skinny, but you're not." I assured him I'm still trying to lose the rest of the weight, and I understand I'm not skinny yet. My fear now is that once I do finish losing the weight, he will still move on to insulting me over something else. What if I'm left with a bit of loose skin and he puts me down over that? I don't know. I used to feel rather good about myself getting down to around 198, 210 even at 220 in years. Previous I felt like I wasn't so bad looking, but now at 179, I look in the mirror and just feel so sad. All I see is the fat I have left to lose. I've lost all of my confidence in myself that I used to have. I've always been a bigger person and have struggled with my weight since childhood. I have PCOS and the insulin resistance is difficult to manage, but I am on medication and trying so hard for this. Anyway, the way I feel about myself now, I do know that this dysphoria is a common problem in the weight loss community, and it happens to people. Though this is my first time experiencing it this way. It's making me wonder if his comments are a big factor in that. But I'm just assigning blame or reaching. We have a little family, and I would hate to break it over something seemingly small, but I feel so horrible lately about myself. Am I overreacting for reconsidering staying in this relationship? I'd say you're not overreacting because you do you at the end of the day. If your partner doesn't love you for who you are, then they're not worth staying for. So, you're not overreacting. Am I overreacting for not cooking for my parents anymore? I like to cook. I may not be good at it, but I enjoy it. I do have some things that I can prepare well and I know taste good, but the new recipes are usually hit and miss. So easy to assume I cook a lot. So every time I cook, I want to get feedback. Of course I do. Tell me if it's tough, oversalted, dry, or whatever. My father, let's call him F, because I don't want to keep typing that entire word out, only does two things when I ask for feedback. A smell and dry heave, and then bite and pretend to vomit. Every time. He'll also go out of his way not to eat what I make, saying, "Oh, there's leftovers I need to finish first." Or literally intentionally wait until I'm done eating and have left the table before he actually eats. Mother, M, enables. When I ask for feedback, F will do the dry heave thing, and will tell me to leave him alone because that's his thing. And I know he'll do that, and I know he'll do that, so why ask? For context, M doesn't like soups and creamy foods, so I don't get a decent answer from her either. It's always, "You know I don't like soup," or "I hate creamy things," instead of the actual feedback. The things I have made are recipes I find on TikTok. Marry chicken, creamy potato soup, baked feta pasta. Fine, they are creamy. But even the non-creamy stuff is still creamy to her, even though I know they aren't like the baked dumplings or the air fryer miso salmon. Mind you, M and F order takeout every day. Daily. Yes, daily. Retirement means sitting at home, rotting in front of the TV and eating takeout. I live here, rent-free, got into some deep financial trouble, and I'm paying back by doing chores. F does get me takeout too. One day, I told them I just can't live with eating takeout every day. I want to cook. Also, All that stuff can't be good for me. I'm really medically classified as obese. Order as you will, but I want to cook my food from time to time and maybe dabble in meal prep. So, off I went. I buy the ingredients with my own money. Groceries, I pay for it. Of course I do. I may have some money problems, but I do have a job where I earn enough to save here and there. I didn't ask them for money. When I cook, I serve them up on the family table style. So they start doing what they do, dry heaves and the comments. The takeouts never ceased for the two of them during all of this. A chicken sandwich here, Panda Express there, it never stopped. Eventually, I just grew tired of it. I stopped cooking for them. I did. However, start bringing a little extra food when I pack my office lunches. I share my cooking and get some helpful feedback. Here lies the issues. Apparently, M has convinced F that I'm ungrateful, that I'm on my high horse because I didn't want to eat takeout or have been turning down F's offers to get me McDonald's or whatever. M herself has come to the conclusion that it's disrespectful for me to cook and not offer them any. They are allowed to have comments about my food. I don't get to control that. I flat out told them that I didn't like cooking for them because it feels like I'm forcing them to enjoy my food and say it's nice when I'm not. I'm not asking for praise. I'm asking for feedback, and they're just pretending to vomit with every spoonful. Plus, it's always competing with their takeout, and I'm always losing. They don't even touch my cooking, and now they want me to serve it up every time so that they can have 1 or 2 bites. No way. They say I'm already living rent-free here. They're not asking me to pay for stuff, and yet I'm here not being a team player and offering food to my co-workers when I should be laying it out for them. I don't know. Are they right? Am I overreacting? They are letting me live here, but I don't understand why they are suddenly wanting the food offered to them every time when they don't act like they enjoy it. I'd say you're not overreacting because you've done something really nice to them by at least offering them food, and you started making them food and they didn't even give you the feedback that you wanted. So they're the ones who are being ungrateful, not you. Am I overreacting for telling my roommate's mother she's not in charge of me and my other roommates? I'm using fake names. 20, female, share a house with my 3 roommates. Nico, 21, male, and his girlfriend, Stacey, 19, female, and Robert, 21, male. Now, the problem here is Robert's mother, Caroline, 52, female, who is the definition of a helicopter mother. She's constantly calling him and showing up to the house without any of us being told. The other day, Stacey and I were getting ready to go out after finishing a hard week of classes and stress at our jobs. We were dressed in party-type clothes. As we were leaving, Caroline told us that we shouldn't dress like that and our parents wouldn't like seeing their daughters dressed like harlots. Yes, she called us harlots. I told her she's not in charge of us, and if she didn't like it, to stop showing up. She called me disrespectful for speaking to an elder in that way in her son's house. I told her it was only 25% his house. After we left, Nico told us that Caroline tried talking to Robert, telling him that he should keep a better eye on us. Nico told her to leave after that. Robert says that we shouldn't have told his mother that she shouldn't stop showing up, and that I overreacted to her comments. So, am I overreacting for telling her that she isn't in charge of my other roommates? No, you're not overreacting. It's not right. You are a legit adult. If you want to wear what you were wearing when you were going out, go for it. You shouldn't be told what to wear by someone else's parents. Am I overreacting that I broke up with my boyfriend over this? We were together for 2.5 years. He is 30, I'm 25. When we first got together, I was extremely clear with my plans for my career. I made it clear school was extremely important to me, and that I know what hospital I wanted to work at and for how long. He still lived with his parents at 30 and was comfortable with his life, not making any changes. He told me he really wanted to leave his job last year and was thinking he even wanted a career change. I thought that was great. He was finally taking control of his life. I told him I signed my contract with my hospital after I finally graduated and that I was ready. We lived a little over an hour from each other in different states. We started talking about a timeline to move in last year. I told him after I make some money after graduation, I'll be ready early this year. He told me he agreed early this year. So, when February came along, I began looking for places. I had a whole list, and he never cared to ask me to look at it. I had a talk with him that I was doing everything to secure and move into our future. He told me he was comfortable and he was just going through the motions of his life and that he'd be better. Then he changed the timeline to end of this year, around August, September. He told me he wanted to move where I'm at. It makes sense because I'm getting my career started and doing my plan I've always had. He was still up in the air with his career and lived with Mum and Dad. I kept checking every step of the way, if he'll be happy down here. I briefly looked at places in between, but they weren't safe areas, and he said he'd be happy moving to my location. So we start actually looking at apartments down here. After looking and finding one we loved, we got approved for our application and got sent the lease agreement. I was with him and I asked him, are we ready to sign? He told me yes and watched me sign it. He then went to work. I get a call the next day from him telling me he changes his mind and doesn't want to move down here with me. He told me he's giving up his entire life to come down and he's making all of the changes and it bothers him. I asked him several times if this was what he wanted and he said yes. He then started pushing onto me to start looking in between. He also told me he felt rushed now. I was so confused. We had many conversations that we were going to move in with each other this year, and he lives with his parents with no bills. I didn't understand how he felt rushed. I was simply putting our plan into action and talking with him about it every step of the way. But it was always me doing all of the work. Even when I started looking seriously, he did nothing to make changes for him to live down here. I felt betrayed. I had already signed the contract, and now he was pushing a whole new plan onto me. I was trying to be understanding. He didn't even try to apply for jobs down here, so he had nothing lined up. I sent him some jobs to apply to. I told him that since he was late to looking, even though we've been talking about this for a year, that we can sign it since he was ready and he can move in a few months after the lease starts so he can have more time to interview for jobs. I can afford to live there myself. I make plenty of money. Well, now I was put into an urgent situation of his making of deciding if I wanted to stay down here or if I needed to let the apartment that I loved go and live in between. I had 48 hours to decide because of the lease agreements. I told him he doesn't seem ready to move out at all, and maybe we should just keep going how we were, and I'll get my own place. He continued to tell me he's giving up his life and doesn't want to be down here. And then he started to tell me he wants to stay at his job for 1 to 2 years. He said his parents were right. We shouldn't go through with this and should be fine in a place in between. I don't even understand why his parents were in our decision to do this. He completely changed literally everything on me and told me the completely opposite things he told me in the past. Then last night we talked on the phone and he told me he meant none of it. He didn't mean to blow our plans up or put me in a bad situation. He thinks he had a psychotic break and can't remember our conversation from the last couple of days over this. He asked me if I go to a doctor and they tell me I'm just bipolar and it's not my fault, you'll forgive me. I told him no. He betrayed my trust and I can't build a life with someone so unreliable with no drive. I broke up with him over this. There are many other stories of him being selfish, like when he would get mad at me for telling him I needed to stay home at night to study for an exam, or when he got at me for cancelling plans because I had debilitating cramps. And he told his whole family I was on my period, so I wasn't coming up. And to him, he didn't understand why I couldn't suck it up. Not to mention, his mum still does all of his finances for him. I definitely say you're not overreacting over this, because you spend all of your time doing something for both you and him, and you decided to change plans at the last minute. So no, you're not overreacting. Am I overreacting for calling corporate after being denied entry with my service dog? I, 22 female, have a service dog for a medical condition. He is trained to alert me before severe drops in my blood sugar and to respond if I start losing consciousness. I've had episodes before where I passed out without warning and ended up in the ER, so I don't go out in public without him anymore. He's fully trained through a legit program and is extremely well behaved. When we're out, he just tucks under the table and doesn't move. Most people don't even notice him. I went to a sit-down chain restaurant, Olive Garden, with a friend for lunch. As soon as we got seated, the manager came over and said dogs aren't allowed inside because of health code. I explained that he's a service dog and not a pet, and that he's allowed to be there. The manager immediately got defensive and said, "We've had people lie about that before, so unless you can show paperwork, you'll have to leave." I told him there isn't actually any required paperwork, and that under the Americans with Disabilities Act, they are only allowed to ask 2 questions. He cut me off and said store policy requires proof and that I was causing a disturbance. At this point, people around us were staring, and I was getting embarrassed. My friend tried backing me up, but the manager said if I didn't remove the dog, we'd both have to leave. We left because I was getting really upset anyways, and just grabbed McDonald's and ate in the car together. When I got home, I called corporate and filed a complaint explaining everything, including the fact that they tried to require documentation and denied access. Corporate seemed pretty serious about it and said they'd handle it internally. I do feel kind of bad now that I might have gotten this manager in a lot of trouble and maybe even fired. I'm trying to rationalise it, like maybe he doesn't actually know the policy and was just doing what somebody else had explained to do. But I've never been denied access into a place because of my dog before, and it just felt really unfair, I guess. You're not overreacting, you're just doing the right thing. Like you have a service dog for an important medical condition, and you've just been denied access into a place that you legally have rights to go into. So yeah, you're not overreacting. Am I overreacting? I was very mad at my online best friend for getting a boyfriend. This happened about a year ago, but I still wonder if I handled the situation well or overreacted. This requires a lot of context, so get ready. I met this online friend about 5 years ago. When we first started talking, she just needed someone to talk to. She didn't want a friend, more like a free therapist, and I wanted to help her the best that I could do. She didn't really have any friends and was made fun of a lot. So after a while of helping her out and talking to her, I ended up being her only friend. Through the years, I helped her through many bad situations, friendships, relationships, and always took her side. Because of this, we went from being best friends to actually being attached to each other. And if I'm being honest, it wasn't the most healthy attachment because we sort of needed each other to keep going. I am from the US and she lives in Europe. One night I was talking with a good friend of mine while playing some games together, and I found myself going on a rant about how much I loved my online friend and wanted to be with her. My friend I was playing with told me she sounds wonderful and that I should confess my feelings to her. With a little help from him on how to word it, I sent her an emotional text confessing my feelings to her. She explained to me that she doesn't want an online relationship, but she also really loves me and has had a crush on me for a long time. Because of this, we both made a promise to each other that we wouldn't date anybody until I could save up enough money to move to her country, and we promised to wait for each other as long as it took. Now, I realise this is very unrealistic as it sounds, like something out of a corny romance novel, but I genuinely believed it at the time. Because of these promises we made to each other, I spent months picking up extra hours at work to save more money spending hours and hours studying and learning her language, looking at houses and figuring out budgeting, memorizing laws and rules of the country, etc. I was very serious about this and put in lots of work to make our goal a reality. While doing all of this, she told me a lot about another guy that she was hanging out with. She told me they were just friends, so of course I had no problem with them hanging out, and I always asked her about what they did and if she had fun. However, one of the days she was explaining with him sounded a lot like a date. I didn't want to come off as suspicious of her or anything, because I trust her. So I asked her if she liked him, liked him. She promised me that she had no interest in him, and he just offered to buy her some food because she didn't have any money at the time. Again, I trusted her, so I believed her. After about 5 months of studying, saving, etc., she was telling me about this guy, and the way she described him was like she was going crazy over him. It almost seemed like she forgot that she was telling me this, like she meant to text it to another friend or something. I asked her again, very politely, if she actually likes this guy. She tried to lie about it again at first, but eventually I got her to admit it, and not only that she likes this guy and wants to be with him, but that she never wanted to wait for me in the first place. She lied to me because she didn't want to hurt my feelings. I told her about how hard I was working to save and about how I was learning her language. And through all that effort, she never told me she didn't actually want to wait. I got very upset at this, and I told her I didn't want to speak with her for a while and that I needed a break because I just wasted 5 months working incredibly hard for this dream that was never even real. And I trusted her with all my heart for 5 years, and she just broke 5 years of trust. I brought everything that I did for her through the years, which I know I shouldn't have done, but I was angry, and I felt like she didn't understand just how much I had genuinely sacrificed for her and her happiness. She was very mad that I was mad at her and for bringing up the past things, and she ended up ghosting me for weeks. We still talk to this day and got over this incident, but I still wonder if I was overreacting. I mean, you kind of were overreacting, because honestly, was it really going to work? Like, you saving up, going to where she lived, and all that malarkey. Like, I don't think it was ever going to work. Am I overreacting for planning to move out over flowers? I, 26 female, met my friend Jackie, 26 female, in our grad school program several years ago and kept in touch. When I had to get out of my lease fast and was stressing about apartment hunting, Jackie offered to let me use her spare bedroom and we'd split the rent. It seemed like the ideal situation. Jackie and I have pretty different lifestyles and personalities. I am a homebody, introvert, and rarely have guests over. Every once in a while, Jackie will invite a bunch of people over to party until the wee hours of the morning. I like cooking. Jackie prefers takeout and complains every time she smells food in the kitchen, or when I used the garbage disposal, or when I turn the dishwashing machine. She wants the kitchen to be basically a showcase room. Jackie is welcome to eat any of my food or borrow any of my stuff, which she does fairly regularly. I am technically welcome to the same, but I don't usually borrow her stuff. My biggest issue is that Jackie is very controlling. Everything around the house has to be exactly how she wants it at all times. The place setting on the kitchen table has to be just so. The pillows need to be exactly here, and so on and so on. All of the furniture and decorations are Jackie's since she was here first. I've tried to add things here and there, like throw a blanket and that matched her pillows, or a pillow that I thought was cute, but she just moves them or throws them back in my room. It's very frustrating and makes me feel like I'm simply a guest here and she's just tolerating my presence. I've been on a fresh flower kick. I think they look nice and they are a mood booster for me. I have been putting them on the kitchen table or counter as a pop of colour. Sometimes Jackie will move them around or complain about them, but I've just ignored her. A few days ago, I made a very beautiful flower arrangement and put it on the kitchen. Less than an hour ago, Jackie knocks on my door and tells me that she will not allow flowers in the kitchen anymore, so they've been moved. She tried to phrase it like it was a suggestion, but it was really just a demand, saying how it will be rather than a question. I am so beyond frustrated, and I'm so over living with her. I pay just as much as she does to live here, but this is not my home. She won't allow it to be. I can't even put flowers in the kitchen. I need to get out of here. Am I overreacting? No, you're definitely not overreacting. I definitely think your friend is overreacting. Because, you're just trying to make it more homely for you. But your friend is not allowing you to, and probably will never allow you to, which is a bit ridiculous. Am I overreacting for wanting to cut my dad off over a car? I, 23 female, am fighting with my dad, 50 male, over a car to buy after I was in an accident that totaled my car. The settlement we got from the accident was around $5,600, and trying to find a used car in my area that is not a total piece of shit is nearly impossible. Not to mention, on top of that, he is being emotionally manipulative and basically saying that unless I pick a card that he approves of and that he takes the time to see that I'm not getting the check because the insurance was in his name or the car they got totaled. Therefore, he got the check for the new one, so he is holding that check hostage unless I pick something that he wants. Even though I will be the driver, I will be paying the new insurance, and I will be paying if we have to just put a down payment on one because he doesn't want to anymore. For some context to this whole ordeal, my mum and dad got a divorce in 2022 to 2023 timeframe, and it was pretty nasty. They constantly fought over my brother, who was a minor at the time, and for custody, and it was a pretty bloody battle with lots of arguing and fighting. It was more emotional manipulation and emotional warfare for all of us. even though there was no physical altercations or fist fighting. It has been a constant back and forth over the years, trying to one-up each other over birthdays, presents, Christmases, and any other excuse they can. For example, last Christmas, my dad bought my brother a $3,000 plus 3D printer package, and I got a colouring book. My husband got a box of mac and cheese. My brother has always been his little mini-me since he's going to a similar college at the same age as my dad when he went. Going to the same major with the same interests, even down to the same brand and type of car he had going to college. I don't have any ill feeling towards my brother, and I love him very much, but he has been a tool for my parents to get back at each other, and now with him graduating and going to college in the fall, it feels like my dad's focus is shifting to me, not out of love, but out of spite, because I act so much like my mum. I feel like he can no longer use my brother, so he is using me through his whole accident business to get back at mum, because he is saying that if I find a car that is over budget, that my mum can pick up the rest of the bill since he bought the first one. Even though he and mum were still together and both of them were working, so technically they both bought the first car. Now down to the main issue. I really need a car to support myself and my husband, since my husband has a medical condition and cannot drive himself to work or anywhere, and I have been the sole driver in our household since we got together. Luckily, since the crash, he has been getting a ride with a friend, but he's accepting a new position at a different store soon, so we need to get a new car within the next month. My dad is holding the insurance check hostage unless I pick out a car that he likes, even if it puts a financial strain on my mum to pay the difference, which I don't want to do. In a perfect world, that check would pay for the car tag and tax, so that nothing would come out of anyone's pocket, because the crash wasn't my fault or any of my family's fault for that matter. But my dad is hell-bent on finding a car outside of our budget, just to stick it to my mum and have her pay the difference, even though he makes well over 6 figures a year, and my mum just lost her job and is getting married soon. He has been so insistent, in fact, that I want to cut him off because he's not willing to go look at any of the cars I suggest and shuts me down immediately by looking the cars up using AI just to disprove me and tell me that I'm wrong and I'm just a girl who wouldn't know anything about cars. Am I wrong to cut my dad off over this? Because it's not just this, it's the combination of everything that's happened since the divorce and the favoritism towards my brother. I love my dad, and he used to not be like this, but I have burned myself out trying to have a relationship with him where we do whatever he wants and when he wants, exactly how he wants. I've been the only one putting in the effort, and I'm tired. You're not overreacting. I feel like your dad is just being absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, you're definitely not overreacting. And that's going to wrap up today's look at Reddit. Am I overreacting? If you found this video helpful or interesting, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I'd also love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let me know what you think about the discussions we've covered today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.